We were told the game was over before we'd even started. We were told our bodies weren't made for it. It wasn't our time to play. We played anyway. And together we played like there was no tomorrow. And they told us that was fine. You can play. You're good enough. And thought that was good enough for us. It wasn't. We are relentless. The game isn't over until we say it's over. Until we get everything we've given everything for. Until we level the playing field.
Lidl, proud supporters of ladies Gaelic football.
And they told us that was fine. You can play. You're good enough. And thought that was good enough for us. It wasn't. We are relentless. The game isn't over until we say it's over. Until we get everything we've given everything for. Until we level the playing field.
Lidl, proud supporters of ladies Gaelic football.
You still haven't gone full Lidl. Go on, make big savings like this lot.
Pea nuggets.
Excuse me?
You'd like them pea nuggets.
Once again?
Pea nuggets. They're vegan.
Nugget.
Yeah.
I like prawns, but how do you cook them?
Oh, there's loads of ways.
Can I microwave them?
No.
Join in and go full Lidl this year.
Did you get milk?
Shop without compromise and pay less.
We were told the game was over before we'd even started. We were told our bodies weren't made for it. It wasn't our time to play. We played anyway. And together we played like there was no tomorrow. And they told us that was fine. You can play. You're good enough. And thought that was good enough for us. It wasn't. We are relentless. The game isn't over until we say it's over. Until we get everything we've given everything for. Until we level the playing field.
Lidl, proud supporters of ladies Gaelic football.
You still haven't gone full Lidl. Go on, make big savings like this lot.
Pea nuggets.
Excuse me?
You'd like them pea nuggets.
Once again?
Pea nuggets. They're vegan.
Nugget.
Yeah.
I like prawns, but how do you cook them?
Oh, there's loads of ways.
Can I microwave them?
No.
Join in and go full Lidl this year.
Did you get milk?
Shop without compromise and pay less.
We were told the game was over before we'd even started. We were told our bodies weren't made for it. It wasn't our time to play. We played anyway. And together we played like there was no tomorrow. And they told us that was fine. You can play. You're good enough. And thought that was good enough for us. It wasn't. We are relentless. The game isn't over until we say it's over. Until we get everything we've given everything for. Until we level the playing field.
Lidl, proud supporters of ladies Gaelic football.
Good afternoon and welcome to Dungarvan GAA Club. We're here in Waterford on a lovely, bright Sunday afternoon. It is a picture postcard setting really for the third round of the Lidl Ladies National Football League as Waterford welcome Mayo to the southeast. Both teams chasing a win. In Waterford's case, it would be their first after two near misses in rounds 1 and 2. While Mayo, well, they've crashed to two defeats, back-to-back losses, and looking to get up and running at the third attempt this afternoon. Let's take a quick check on the teams then before we go any further. Starting with the home side, Waterford, and Pat Sullivan has ended up naming the same team that drew against Cork in round 2, but there are two changes, as you'll see on the graphic there. Two late changes: number 18 Cora Murray and number 19 Karen McGrath, both coming into the starting 15, with Kate McGrath and Sheena McGuckian dropping out of the team on the match programme. But that means it's a settled starting team for Waterford, a team that was good enough to draw with Cork last time out when really it looked like they were going to escape with the victory. Names to keep an eye out for: Emma Murray, the attack-minded number 6. She's shot 6 points from play across the first couple of games. Kellyanne Hogan and Eva Waring make up a very settled midfield partnership. Kellyanne Hogan also the team free taker, while up the centre of the attack, Breege McMaw, 2 points against Kerry, and Lauren McGregor from the local Dungarvan club here with 2 goals in the first 2 games. They're 2 players to keep an eye out for in the Waterford attack. Looking then at Mayo, they've made the long journey down from the west, stayed overnight just to break up the trip along the road. And Michael Moyles, well, he has named what looked like it would be an unchanged team initially, but 3 late changes in fact to the team announced in the match programme. Number 22 Kieran Needham, number 18 Fiona McHale, and number 23 Sinead Walsh all start, with Lucy Wallace, Hannah Reap and Tara Needham dropping to the bench. Mayo's top scorer in their first 2 games, Shauna Howley, 11 points for last year's All-Star. She's also the team's free taker, while Rachel Kearns, another All-Star from a couple of seasons ago, 2 points so far for the Mayo number 14. In the Mayo defence, Sarah Tierney back in the squad this season after spending some time in Australia. She returns and starts at number 6 again this afternoon. Mayo captained by number 7 Catherine Sullivan from Castlebar Mitchells. So throw in here at Dungarvan GAA Club is at 2 o'clock. Delighted to be joined by Michelle Ryan, the former Waterford footballer, on co-commentary this afternoon. Michelle, we'll take a look at the starting teams maybe first, and to focus on Waterford initially. Pat Sullivan on paper putting out a very strong starting 15 again.
Exactly, and I think Pat and his management team recognised, I suppose, how well Waterford played last week against Cork, and they showed improvements from their first game against Kerry. Very, very close to winning the match against Cork. Unfortunate that a free conceded, I think it was in the 6th minute of injury time, meant that Katie Quirk was able to give them the drawing game there. So he's very confident and very happy with, I suppose, the performances and how they attacked that game, and he's willing to give that same 15 the starting chance here now to hopefully do the same against Mayo. And I know last week it was Cora Murray came in cornerback because Kate McGrath was actually injured and got injured in the lead up to that match. Kate thankfully seems to have recovered. She's out there warming up, which means she's an option now off the bench, and having been, I suppose, originally selected to start over a week ago, that's a good sign for Waterford that she is there and needs to come in if possible. But look, I think Waterford coming into this will have taken a lot of positives. There's no doubt there's a huge amount of disappointment over the Kerry game and the Cork game. They have a point on the board. They're going in here now against Mayo, and I suppose Mayo as well, having 2 defeats against Cork and Kerry as well. If you're going on those performances and those results, there should be very little between the two teams here today. And I suppose from a Waterford perspective, we'll be hoping that they can stay in and fight till the end and see the game out if they are in a point or two ahead come the last few minutes.
I know you've seen Waterford in those first couple of games. Just give us a sense maybe of how they're setting up this season, how they're going about their business.
Well, I think you've mentioned already the likes of Emma Murray. Emma Murray has become, I suppose, a real central figure to the play of Waterford, and she was quite a workhorse over the years anyway, and maybe doing a lot of unseen work on the pitch, but she really is central to that defence. But Waterford are really defending in numbers, in huge numbers, and their work rate even increased in that game against Cork and Kerry, and also their pace and their counter-attack increased, and their movement of the ball up the forwards. There's a lot of running going on along the wings, the likes of Anya O'Neill and Cara McCarthy. Ava wearing at her in the middle of the field the last day, really proving herself as a link player, just getting that ball between the 265s, between the 245s, and then you have the likes of Emma Murray breaking up that field and ending up in the end resulting in a score. Now we've had Lauren McGregor come out with some significant scores as well for them over the last 2 games. She's got 2-1 to date, but I think maybe just probably looking for a little bit more return from their inside forward line overall, but the chances are there. They've created a lot of chances, especially in the game against Cork, and I presume and I hope they'll be going for the jugular here again today and creating those chances and driving forward rather than a lateral side of play that we might have seen during the game against Kerry.
Just to look at Mayo then for a couple of minutes before the game gets underway. Michael Moyles has reshuffled his pack a little. Kieran Needham comes back in, Fiona McHale, Sinead Walsh. The first thing that strikes me when you see those 3 players starting is that Mayo are loading the decks. They're putting out their best starting 15, and obviously whatever needs to be added in then as the day goes on, but starting as they mean to continue.
I think you're absolutely right. I think both sides here are recognising the importance of this game, having gone through the first 2 rounds and seeing this as a potential chance to gain a few points based on their performances. And you're right, the likes of Fiona McHale and Sinead Welch had a huge experience coming into the ranks there. I know Sinead Welch came in the second half the last day and managed to score 3 points and really kind of took the game, ended up as a result of that, it meant that they really took the game to Cork, but I suppose the thing from Michael Moyles and from Mayo is they probably haven't been happy with how they've been starting games in the last 2 rounds. They've fallen behind in both games and have needed a real resurgence come second half, and they've managed to do that. They've managed to claw back those scores, but they'll be looking to start from the start here now today, not let a gap open up and drive on in that sense and show that improvement from those first 2 rounds.
Well, right now the referee Kevin Phelan from Laois is just having a quick word with the team captains. Karen McGrath captaining Waterford today. Catherine Sullivan is the Mayo skipper. Just in terms of conditions, Michelle, I mean, it augurs well for a good game of football, but we don't exactly know, I suppose, how both teams intend to set up or to start the game at least. I mean, let's talk about maybe the first half. What are you expecting? Waterford at home, as you say, they're looking for that first win, but confidence will be relatively high given their performances in rounds 1 and 2. And then you have Mayo naming that strong team. They're away from home, but the pressure on them really.
I suppose from a Waterford perspective, they will see that the good start for them last week boded very well, and they'll be hoping to really go at Mayo from the very start. Defensively, as I said, they will pack out that defence, so Mayo will have to be patient in that regard. I suppose as well, looking at Mayo's games up until now to date, a lot of their scores have come from frees. I think it was 9 frees out of 13 scores against Kerry. Shauna Howley also converting 3 frees against Cork. They only scored 2 points in the first half, so you would say for Mayo the scoring chances haven't been there from play, but they have been getting frees, and Shauna Howley and Maria Cannon have been vital in that sense. The thing about Waterford though is Waterford have been conceding frees, and they've been conceding frees at crucial stages of matches, just before half time, allowing teams to come back in just there at the end of full time as well. So they will have to be a lot more disciplined in that defence. The numbers are there, but need to be a lot more disciplined in the tackle, and I am sure that's something that the management team will have emphasise to them coming into this game. But I really do see both teams going at each other from the throw-in, because they, as I said earlier, they both know this is a crucial game. Mayo won't be happy with maybe how they started other games. Waterford will see the benefits that have shown to them against Kerry and against Cork by taking it to them from the start, meaning that they're right competitive from the very, very beginning. So it's important, I suppose, key possession, holding on to possession. It's early in the league yet, and we have seen in all the games right across the groups that handling and giving away possession a bit easily, but that's, I suppose, that kind of comes with the slickness in the game isn't right there. But with each round that will improve, and we'll wait to see now. The conditions are excellent for the game. There's very, very little wind to be said. The pitch looks in very good condition as well. So it bodes well condition-wise for a good game here in Dungarvan.
Certainly does. Pitch is in really good trim, all things considered. It's actually Waterford's first time to play here at home in their home county this season. They were in Pilltown for their first home match of the campaign, but thankfully Dungarvan GA Club available this afternoon, and in fact it's a very busy day actually in Dungarvan. You didn't have to be long in the town before you realised that. The John Tracy Road Race bringing over 3,500 runners of all descriptions to the area earlier this morning. They've dispersed in the last half an hour or so. Traffic gridlock around this part of the city, and then of course the Waterford hurlers in action against Dublin across town at Frere Field as well this afternoon. That's a sellout and a good crowd in for this round 3 Lidl Ladies National League, because of course, Michelle, viewers and spectators and those of us in the commentary box of a certain age will remember it's not that long ago in one way. There was a tremendous rivalry between Waterford and Mayo, and who can forget those great days at Croke Park, those All-Ireland finals?
I absolutely remember them well, absolutely. That you're talking about the late 90s, early 2000s there, and there was a fierce rivalry, and I suppose Mayo were the team to knock that senior Waterford team off their perch, having had so many years of hard battles against the likes of Monaghan, and Mayo then came to the fore, and they were fierce battles back then, serious warriors on both teams. And do you know what, since then I suppose Mayo and Waterford haven't come across each other that much, and like Waterford would have obviously great knowledge of Cork and Kerry and the likes, and even the likes of Dublin, because of the geographically the way the championship has been split and the leagues have been split over the last 2 years. Mayo and Waterford don't come across each other that often now, so there is a little bit of uncertainty maybe in that regard, watching each other in clips and knowing each other through colleges football. But it'll be interesting to see now how these two teams fare against each other here today.
Yeah, Waterford, of course, last played in an All-Ireland senior final in 2000, lost to Mayo by a point, and plenty of conversations, I'm sure, in both counties have been had over the years, over the last 20 years plus, about that particular game and many more. Great games, great memories, but it's a new era for Waterford and Mayo. Waterford looking to get back to the glory days of, as Michelle said, the 1990s, when they were the undisputed queens of ladies football, and of course Mayo as well. They will feel it's been far too long since their last All-Ireland final success, as Michael Moyles in his 3rd season in charge looks to rebuild and go one step further than Mayo did last season, at least beaten All-Ireland semi-finalists last year. And I suppose from a Waterford point of view, Michelle, I see they're in their huddle. They're just, Mayo have moved into position. What would a good season look like for Waterford, do you think, at this stage?
Well, I suppose it's been a bit mixed over the last few years for Waterford. There's been numerous times where Waterford have reached All-Ireland quarter-finals. Last year was definitely probably a disappointment in that they were battling relegation in Division 1 of the league and also in the Championship, but managed to pull through both of those games and show that good resilience. So the thing for Waterford is to really gain as much points as possible in this league, establish themselves as still an important and a competitive Division 1 team, and build that going into Munster Championship. And Munster Championship is vital for Waterford because you're playing against the likes of Cork and Kerry, who are there or thereabouts in the top 4 or 5 teams in the country, and as target has been quarter-final and hopefully more after that.
So away we go then. We're live from Dungarvan GA Club. It's round 3 of the Lidl Ladies National League, and it is Waterford against Mayo. Mayo in the first half, they'll play from left to right down towards the dressing room end, and they're on the attack right from the throw-in, and they've held possession for the first 20 seconds as Rachel Kearns gets an early touch. Hasn't been at her all action best in rounds 1 and 2, but no doubt one of these days she will hit top gear, and somebody is going to suffer as Shauna Howley gets on the ball over on the far side. Mayo's top scorer in the league so far, also their primary free taker these days. Cora Staunton, of course, having hung up her boots a couple of years ago. Still going strong in the WAFL with the Great Western Sydney Giants, but Shauna Howley has taken over the mantle of free taker for the county team as a slip from Sarah Tierney allows Annie Fitzgerald in to win possession. Briefly though, Tierney had recovered her composure, wins a free. Mayo want to take it quickly. Referee Kevin Phelan wants to bring it back again, and already you can see Michelle, Mayo trying to force the pace.
They are absolutely trying to take it to Waterford straight away, but there you see, I suppose, the numbers back from Waterford, as we mentioned. Good dispossession there by Annie Fitzgerald this time, but unfortunately coughed up possession again. Mayo, as you can see from this restart, eager to take it quickly, but too quickly that time.
Yeah, 14 Waterford players back inside their own half right now. They've just left one up top. So Mayo's challenge here would be to try and break them down and find some space, as Sarah Tierney just puts Ailish Ronayne under a little bit of pressure, manages to get there in the nick of time. Ball sprayed across by Ciara Needham, and Mayo will try their luck down that left hand side. Fiona McHale tries to play a quick hand pass, just a little too quick, manages to win the break, being chased by Kellyanne Hogan, and the Ballymacarbery woman just closed down the space and the angle, and possession is in Waterford's hands for one of the first times, Michelle, in the first 2 minutes.
It is, yeah, it is, and good quickly taken sideline there, and this is Waterford trying to build and have options off the shoulder now, and just as they get back in defence, they have to move forward in attack as well, and good movement so far, plenty of options there moving up the field.
Mayo playing Danielle Caldwell as a sweeper at the moment, sitting in front of Annie Fitzgerald and Lauren McGregor. They're the double-pronged full forward line. Nice ball there from Kellyanne Hogan right across to the far side, looking for Annie Fitzgerald's run and finding it. She's trying to take her marker on the inside. That was Danielle Caldwell. Tug on the jersey, free in to Waterford. But already the tactics you flagged up in advance, Michelle, they're crystal clear.
And that's good vision there from Kellyanne Hogan to see Annie Fitzgerald just coming out around the edge of the square there, seeing the space to her left, putting that ball well into that space. And we've seen Annie in previous games. She has a very, very good turn. She got a goal against Cork last week, so Mayo not eager to leave her turn inside that full back line.
So Kellyanne Hogan then with the free, 7 points she's kicked in the competition so far, 5 from frees. That's a really good strike, and Waterford hit the front after 3.5 minutes. Well, they've been penned in for most of those 3.5 minutes, but on their first attack they get the first score.
An excellent score by Kellyanne. I suppose as a free taker, it's not the most ideal position that you want your first free to be from. Out way over to the right, probably on the wrong side, as you would technically say, for a right-footed kicker. Tough angle, well scored there by Kellyanne.
So the home side out in front in the spring sunshine here in Dungarvan, as Danielle Caldwell moves towards the halfway line and then lets the ball go long inside towards the target woman, Lisa Cafferty. Nice ball around the corner to Sinead Welch, going to take on her marker, tight angle, and that ball ends up in the back of the net, and that won't count. Sinead Welch just trying to pop it over the bar on the run, couldn't execute the hand pass, but a first glimpse of the very talented teenager in full flight.
It is, and Lisa Cafferty herself, quite a noted and influential player, getting that ball, recognising there was space inside for Sinead Welch to capitalise on, and that's the danger Mayo bring when they click up front. They have some really key players who can create those kind of opportunities, and the speed that they have within their ranks, Waterford defenders need to be on their toes with that.
Waterford's kick out just broke down this time, won by Mayo. Flurry of quick hand passes, and they're inside the scoring zone. Rachel Kearns is going to take on the shot just on the edge of the D, spilled by the goalkeeper Evelyn O'Brien initially, but she was fouled as she tried to retrieve the situation, and Waterford will get a free out, which Evelyn O'Brien will take short to the cornerback Aoife Murray. Now Anya O'Neill, as Waterford try to filter players forward and Mayo try to press high. Aoife Murray again just ran on to take the return pass. Rachel Kearns moved in to challenge, and Rachel Kearns has injured herself in the process. Just caught there, I think, as Aoife Murray went by. It was accidental. That doesn't mean doesn't hurt, of course, and we'll have a stoppage.
I think, I'm not sure if it's to her face or slightly maybe to her nose there that she came in on Aoife. Aoife obviously shielding herself with her shoulder to get by, and purely accidental collision there. And I've no doubt it's just going to be a possession free for Waterford. Eve Power has her hands on the ball over there. Referee just taking the precaution because it is up around the head area, making sure he stopped to make sure Rachel is okay.
Just looking at the way Mayo seem to be setting up, Lisa Cafferkey from Kilmavie Shamrocks is the nearest Mayo forward to goal. Then just maybe 10-15 yards directly in front of her is Sinead Welch, and Rachel Kearns won't be too far away, you'd imagine. Kearns and Welch, the McHale Rovers teammates, went on a really good run with their club a couple of seasons ago. They were Mayo and Connacht intermediate champions. As Waterford get the game going again, referee is playing an advantage here as Lauren McGregor holds up the point of attack. Support comes from Kellyanne Hogan, who was being fouled by Roisin Flynn. Waterford will have a free just outside the 45-metre line. Hogan goes backwards to Megan Dunford, the fullback from Abbey's side. Lauren McGregor, Kellyanne Hogan. Megan Dunford has continued the run, looking to make an angle. Nice pop pass to McGregor. Lovely build-up by Waterford, and that is a beautiful score. So well crafted and finished brilliantly by Lauren McGregor to double Waterford's lead.
Excellent score there by Lauren, and good movement there by Waterford, and created by the full-back Megan Dunford. She was a free player out around the back, and Mayo having filtered players back, she continued with her run, provided the support for the girls going forward, and Waterford need to do that, and they did that against Cork last week. Maybe the physicality isn't there when they take things into the tackle, but the 1-2s, the speeds off the shoulder, that's what gets them in around the scoring positions.
Well, putting scores on the board has been an issue for Mayo in the first couple of rounds. Hit 12 points against Cork, 13 against Kerry, yet to score a goal. Lisa Cafferkey trying to put that right, shot half blocked. And again, Evelyn O'Brien's handling, not immaculate, shall we say, but does what she has to do on this occasion. And the player trying to carry it clear is Anya O'Neill, brings it into the traffic, wins a free. And Waterford have settled very impressively. 8 minutes gone. You'd imagine Michelle Pat Sullivan will be delighted with how things have panned out so far.
He will, he really will. I think they're working hard off the ball, they're working well with the ball, loads of options and runs off the shoulder, which is creating, I suppose, a bit of an impetus going forward. There is danger though in that Mayo attack. They've managed to get that ball into the Waterford full back line within about 2 or 3 seconds of that for initial kick out, so that is definitely something for them to watch.
Terrific run made initially by Emma Murray. It's all opened up for Waterford. This is Breege McMaw. Plenty of options. One of them is Hannah Power. Now look how quickly Waterford have got bodies back down the field. It's Kellyanne Hogan looking to extend the lead, and that shot flies high and wide. Well, they're defending en masse, they're attacking in waves, and right now Waterford dictating the pace. But that's a really good kick out by Laura Brennan to pick out the unmarked Rachel Kearns, way over on the far side of the field. Drills it low and long towards her clubmate Sinead Welch, who'd made the run out from the edge of the D. Support from Fiona McHale, the Carnacon veteran, still going strong for Mayo. Across to Lisa Cafferkey. Moving into position just ahead of her is Ciara Needham, and here she is right on cue, the Mayo half-back. That's a shot to nothing really from Ciara Needham. I'm not quite sure if she just got caught in two minds there, or perhaps blinded by the sun, but in any event, that kick pass back the field has been given away, and Waterford can try and hit Mayo on the break now. That was a real breakdown in communication, if nothing else, by Mayo, as Lauren McGregor shrugs aside the tackle, shoots high and wide. That was a really good chance for Waterford after a systems failure in the Mayo attack.
Absolutely, I'm not sure exactly what happened with that Mayo attack, but it was a chance for Waterford. Maybe a slight little bit more patience there needed from Lauren. I know Cara McGrath was coming off the shoulder. Mayo weren't back in as many numbers as they had been there previous, so a little bit more patience needed in that attack there for Waterford.
So still Waterford tipping along, 2 points in front. Mayo trying to construct another attack. Cannon to Cafferkey, Cafferkey to Sinead, Lisa to Sinead, sister to sister. Now it's Shauna Howley looking to provide the pass to Fiona McHale. Buzzing around that Mayo attack again. Waterford have got plenty of numbers back, clogging up the space. Maria Cannon though has room to shoot, and that's a lovely strike by Maria Cannon from the County senior champions Burrishoole. Mayo's first score comes after 10.5 minutes.
That's it, and it was a good score. Waterford had left himself a little bit exposed in this corner here in front of us. Maria was sitting in that space waiting for the ball to be transferred over here. Waterford, I suppose, in that blanket defence were following the ball as a unit and just didn't get across in time. But it is a good score, an important score for Mayo to get on the scoreboard.
Evelyn O'Brien looking for Kellyanne Hogan and just about finds her. But the Ballymacarbery midfielder, her first instinct is to drive down the field, sucks in the tackler and wins the free. She really is the dynamo, the driving force in that midfield, isn't she?
She is. She makes these really dynamic runs as well. Herself and the likes of Breach McMahon and Anya O'Neill and Emma Murray are really capable of taking that ball on. If there's gaps there, even this minimal of gaps, going for it. And Kellyanne brings a lot to the Waterford team out around that middle third of the field.
Well, she was looking there for McMaw, but just overcooked the pass that allows Mayo to win possession back. Danielle Caldwell, Clodagh McManaman, back to Caldwell again. This is better for Mayo now. Sinead Cafferty goes long, looking for her sister Lisa, who was just caught in behind Megan Dunford. Waterford now looking to break at pace. Anya O'Neill, here's the call inside. That's Megan Dunford, fouled by Clodagh McManaman. Mayo trying to stop Waterford at source, as it were. Dunford with the quick free. Back to Anya O'Neill again. Waterford leading here by the bare minimum. We've played 12 minutes in the sunshine in Dungarvan. Kellyanne Hogan has the strength to go by Danielle Caldwell. Now she's got Roisin Flynn for company, and Flynn did well.
She
Stood
did.
her up.
She absolutely did. She made her forced a decision there. Kellyanne unsure about whether to take another solo, take the shot, or maybe give a pass inside to Breach McMahon. So that was good defending there from Mayo.
Quick free again taken, and Catherine Sullivan eats up the ground over on this right hand side, delivering it diagonally in towards Lisa Cafferty, but again she was just caught on her heels there, and Aoife Murray, who's very quick off the mark, out in front to Karen McGrath. Long ball, good ball as well. They try to stretch the Mayo defence. Lauren McGregor raced out there from the edge of the square. Referee is playing an advantage. I think a combination of Sarah Tierney and Danielle Caldwell there were fouling the full forward. She in turn has got the game moving quickly, and Anya O'Neill will set Breach McMaw up just on the edge of the D. Lovely quick change of direction to lose a couple of defenders. Very clever forward play, and Waterford have engineered a free in. But that's been a noticeable feature, Michelle, of the first quarter so far. Frees and most things really being done very, very quickly. It
is on both sides eager to move that ball pretty quick, and there's no, would we say, static movement, static passing to people in a standing position, and it's forcing the defenders to make decisions and maybe make a few sloppy decisions, which is resulting in a number of frees, especially for Waterford, though I think they really are trying to make those runs to break through that defence and forcing Mayo to leave a lazy hand in and creating those scoring opportunities, which Kellyanne has taken here now again.
So we're in the 14th minute of the first half. Kellyanne Hogan has just popped over her second point of the game, brings her tally in the Lidl Ladies National League to 9 points this season, and Waterford lead by 3 points to 1, and fully deserving of that lead as well. In fact, if they had been a little bit more efficient, they would be even further ahead. Certainly they've dictated the pace and the tempo so far. Sarah Tierney now on the ball for Mayo. The Hollymount club player has won a free. Catherine Sullivan will take it across to Maria Cannon, one of a handful of representatives of the new Mayo senior football champions. Burrishoole won their first ever county senior title last season, to the former county champions representative Shauna Howley from Knockmore. Mayo trying to work in a fairly tight corner. That's a lovely ball from Sinead Cafferty to Sinead Welsh off the left, well blocked down. Well, you could see what Welsh was thinking. Problem was, so could Emma Murray, who's been very impressive, Michelle, in the first quarter.
Absolutely, and I suppose picking up where she left off in the last two games, and that was a vital block there by Emma, because Mayo had snuck two players in there, 2-on-1 at that time, and it was vital that Emma actually made that block.
Waterford go long, looking for Lauren McGregor, just over her fingertips. Runs through though to Annie Fitzgerald, back to Karen McGrath, trying to turn, bottled up quickly. That's a really good block by Danielle Caldwell, the all-star cornerback, to deny Breach McMaw the shot at goal. Caldwell Well, she's an all-action number 4, playing as a sweeper. Reads the game so well.
She does, and what Emma Murray can do one end, she can do down the other, and a very impressive block by her, and quick setting up of attack here now for Mayo.
Clodagh McManaman looking for Kearns, but she was outnumbered there by 3-1, the Mayo full forward. Nothing doing, it doesn't stick, and away go Waterford again. This game being played at a very quick pace. We're in the 16th minute. Lauren McGregor pops it in front of the runner. That's Annie Fitzgerald looking to lose Caldwell, who has her by the arm, spotted by Kevin Phelan. Free into Waterford. So much space in front of McGregor and Fitzgerald, Michelle, that when Waterford do break, it's panic stations.
And I think as well, to be honest, I think there's a lot of space in front of both full forward lines, and when the ball goes in there quick, it is a little bit tense on both ends, and I think Waterford defence have coped maybe a little bit better with that. Mayo sometimes struggling and causing fouls, taking fouls, but I have to say, compared to the last 2 games, the Waterford full forward line is really working very well inside there, supplying each other, creating chances, getting into that space, and there's a lot more possession being used by them inside there than they have in the last 2 games, so there's no doubt that Pat Sullivan will be absolutely happy with that.
Target practice for Kellyanne Hogan. She's up to 3 points now, the Waterford midfielder. The lead is out to 3 as well, and just like they did against Kerry and against Cork, Waterford have started well. They've imposed their game plan onto the opposition. The question is now, can they see it out? Can they see this home? Looking for their first win of this Division 1 campaign against a Mayo team that are also hunting their first points after narrow defeats at home to both Cork and Kerry. Played both of those matches at the Connacht GA Centre of Excellence in Bacon. This, their first road trip of the year. Shauna Howley needed a second bite at that, but does well. Looking to hold off Anya O'Neill. Kevin Phelan has his arm outstretched. Howley was fouled. She'll come back and take the free. Wearing strapping on her left knee, that will be a slight concern for her and for Mayo, because we've seen, Michelle, in the first couple of rounds, scores hard to come by for Mayo, and so much expected of Shauna from the free taking, and it looks like she'll probably kick this as well.
Yeah, I think the referees, after bringing in, he saw some tugging there by Waterford. I think it was Hannah Power on Lisa Cafferty inside, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Mayo have had a lot of their scores come from frees in the last number of games, and there's Shauna Howley is an excellent free taker. Both herself and Maria Cannon have been on the frees over the last 2 rounds and been very accurate from them, and Mayo have been relying hugely on that. So Waterford will have to just keep that discipline and make sure that they're not just handing scores back to Mayo, especially where in as much control of the game as they are.
So Shauna Howley looking to open her account here in Dungarvan, but not before Kellyanne Hogan receives some attention. I saw Kevin Phelan have a word there with Rachel Kearns a moment ago as well. I think Rachel may have been querying 1 or 2 decisions, but it's been a very fast-paced game so far, as you'd expect of 2 teams who were trying to get their show on the road, as it were, in this Lidl Ladies National League, trying to make up for lost time. Good to see Kellyanne back on her feet again. She's good to go, and after a slight delay, Shauna Howley stands over this free again. A score Mayo badly need now. They've scored once so far. That was Maria Cannon's effort in the 11th minute. This should be well inside the range of Shauna Howley. And the Knockmore woman makes no mistake. So double scores in Dungarvan, 4 points to 2. Hard to say it's a fair representation of what we've seen, really, Michelle, because Waterford should have a bigger lead.
I agree with you. I think they should have a slightly bigger lead, and I would say they probably have more possession, if I'm honest, as well. But like, scores have been kind of hard to come by. Whether, I suppose, there's a bit of fouling going on, a lot of blanket defensing happening. It's hard to get in around. So the ball needs to move in and needs to be slick. People need to be willing to take those scores on and take those players on when they're in that space.
Now, Cara McCarthy trying to do just that, but just to underline your point, it's easier said than done. That was a really tough tackle by Kieran Needham there, who stood her ground, turns the ball over. The defence is so well coached, so well drilled and organised, that putting scores on the board, easier said than done. And it's a high challenge. Sinead Cafferty just caught there by a stray hand. just breaks up the momentum of the game. But just to go back to that point about the defences, obviously a lot of work been done on the training ground, and on match day you can see it for yourself.
You can, and I think as well, look, Mayo haven't scored goals yet in this league campaign, and we've already mentioned about their scoring, and it's come for a lot of it from frees, but they do have that threat up there. We can see it here. You can see the runs that are happening. There are two players, generally the likes of Rachel Kearns and Lisa Cafferty, or sometimes it's Sinead Welch and Rachel Kearns. There's only two of them staying inside their 45, and if that ball goes in really quickly without the Waterford backs getting back there, there's no doubt that they can do damage. And we've seen Waterford have gotten that inside there as well, but have not been able to, I suppose, capitalise on that and take that ball around those defenders. So the defenders are working well, but they're working well as units, and it is really reliant on the numbers being back there. And I think if either team can get that ball into that space a little bit quicker and take advantage of the lack of numbers that are there, then we could have a whole different game.
Mayo trying to do that now. Rachel Kearns out in front, finds Lisa Cafferty, as always, full of energy, trying to make something happen. This is Shauna Howley, off balance, just the defender came across her eye line as well, and in fact referee's whistle has sounded for a free out. I think there was a challenge on the goalkeeper there he wasn't happy about, but time and space is at a premium. Now I see the umpire has his hand in the air as well, Michelle.
I think they're signalling that Evelyn O'Brien might have caught that ball while still in the field of play, which means and stepped back over the end line, which means it's a 45 to Mayo. I think that time maybe she felt she was back behind the line crashing that ball, but the umpire seemed convinced that she wasn't.
So it is a 45 to Mayo. Good work by the umpires on the spot. Rachel Kearns takes it, tried to take it quickly, but stubbed her toe, and that's another mistake, an unforced error by Mayo. I see Michael Moyles here just in front of us. He won't be overly happy with the first 22 minutes, you'd imagine. His team 2 points behind. They've made quite a few mistakes like that as Catherine Sullivan goes powering up the field, but to no avail. Referee had already blown the whistle for a free to Waterford, and that Mayo attack, well, petered out fairly quickly. But again, if we go back to the 45, it's very uncharacteristic of a player like Rachel Kearns, Michelle, to do something like that.
And there was plenty of Waterford players in front of her, just couldn't clear her line, or I suppose maybe in that it's best option when there's so many numbers there to try and go short and create a 1-2 for yourself. But then again, she is a player who's well able of putting that ball in around the 21 as well.
Mayo's decision making at times not what they would like it to be. Waterford looking to make ground down that central channel that's very crowded, a lot of bodies and no way through. Emma Murray and company repelled and driven backwards. Probably needed to go wider a little earlier, didn't happen. Mayo now will try and break as quickly as they can. Over to the far side to midfielder Sinead Cafferty, moves it on quickly to Lisa Cafferty. Two players ahead of her. Sinead Welch is one, the other is Maria Cannon. Cafferty trying to do it all on her own, or a lot of it at least. Now Sinead Welch looking to come around to make an angle. Sinead Welch doesn't bring it in, and that flies high and wide. Another chance goes a-begging.
Maybe too much of an angle there for Sinead Welch to make for herself, but even the Mayo support here, and we could see ourselves, Maria Cannon had made a very dangerous run up this wing. If they could have switched the play or spotted her and switched that play. Waterford weren't there in those numbers to actually prevent. She had a path through on goal that time, but so maybe a bit of relief there for Waterford and a bit of disappointment for Mayo.
Just looking at the flags, Waterford have the aid of a slight breeze, but nothing major. Certainly shouldn't be too much of an issue to play with it or indeed against it, as Aoife Murray comes tiptoeing out of the Waterford defence. That's a heavy challenge by Rachel Kearns. Aoife Murray is down and staying down. I
think maybe a slight leaning towards an AFLW tackle there from Rachel Kearns. We know she spent her time training in that. She wrapped her hands around Aoife that time, meeting her, bringing her to the ground, and just a little bit over vigorous there from Rachel that time. And Aoife obviously taking a little bit of a hit, but no doubt she'll be up okay. And interestingly enough, and I mentioned this last week about Aoife Murray started out her inter-county career, senior career at Waterford, playing as a corner forward, and has transformed back into a corner back, and a really tenacious corner back as well. She's marking Lisa Cafferty here today, who we know is quite a speed merchant for Mayo. Aoife herself is very fast and very diligent on the ball, and she's been very influential moving forward up the pitch as well, like with her sister Emma.
Interesting you say that. at times thinks like a corner forward. I think it stands to her. She reads the game so well. Kellyanne Hogan took her time over that free, but it might just work out. This is some run, and she's still going. Support, if she needs it, from Eva Waring across to the player on the far side. That's the wing forward, Cara McCarthy, and that is some score by Cara McCarthy. From a standing start, from a standing position, she just fly kicks it right over the centre point of the crossbar. One of the scores of the game, and Waterford lead now by 5 points to 2.
An excellent score there by Cara. They hadn't scored in the last 9 minutes, and Cara got an important score as well last week against Cork. She does a lot of work up and down those wings, covering ground, helping out defences. Wouldn't be known as quite the prolific scorer, but has gotten herself on the scoreboard here today.
Yeah, one against Cork, one today against Mayo. And from a Waterford perspective, that scoreline makes very pleasant reading as we edge closer to half-time. We're in the 27th minute of the first half. You're watching the Lidl Ladies National League Division 1 game coming to you from Dungarvan GA grounds. Lovely day for a game, and Waterford playing the better football so far. Now this is where Mayo have run into problems in the last 25 minutes. Trying to break this cordon around the Waterford goal. McHale to Cafferkey. Cafferkey to Needham. Needham to Sinead Welsh. And Sinead Welsh to Shauna Howley. Mayo holding possession. They've got no other option here. They have to try and bide their time and wait. And it breaks down. And in came Eve Power to break up that Mayo attack. And yet another example of the Waterford defensive system, Michelle, working so well.
It was, and there was huge discipline needed for Eve to make that tackle and not concede a free. So well done to her. And this, I suppose, that's, as I mentioned before the game, Waterford were conceding frees against Kerry and against Cork coming up to the end of both halves, and they're very disciplined in their tackle here. And I suppose if I'm Mayo, I would have now acknowledged that in the last 2 games, and I would be really trying to draw those fouls.
Hannah Power has just beaten 3 defenders, 4-5, still going. Referee had blown the whistle and I think wants to bring it back. But that was quite the run from the Waterford number 7.
It was quite the run, and she's a sister of Eve who had made that dispossession back there a few moments ago. And I suppose it's great to see that the number of Waterford players are taking on that responsibility driving forward. They're all comfortable moving up there into that space.
Well, I think Kevin Phelan spotted she hopped the ball twice on the way through. That was the issue. But would you believe, from a position where they had the ball, should and could have cleared their lines, Mayo have gone short with the free and put themselves under pressure again.
That's inviting pressure on yourself there, and you need to be absolutely certain when you're kicking a short free and inside that 21 that's getting to its target, and that you're not putting that target under pressure. And Mayo didn't do that time. Lauren McGregor was quick inside there with the pressure and the tackle and did very well. And now we have Kellyanne with another chance to take her 4th score of the game here today.
Well, it's handed Kellyanne Hogan with what looks like a very straightforward free. Slight breeze behind her, she makes no mistake, and Waterford stretch 4 points ahead after 29 minutes. And Mayo's confidence, which was surely a little brittle coming into this game, is being eroded, you'd imagine, with every passing minute. They're making mistakes in defence, highlighted a moment ago, and they've scored just 2 points so far in this first half. 1 from play. That was from Maria Cannon in the 11th minute. The question is now, can they pick up the pace? Can they put scores on the board? Maria Cannon across to Sinead Cafferkey. Sinead Welsh makes a decoy run. Sinead Cafferkey just pulled back there by one of the 3 or 4 Waterford defenders who were chasing after her. And this will give Shauna Howley a chance to notch her 2nd point of the game and just reel Waterford back in a little. Cancel out that score a moment ago from Kellyanne Hogan. So in the final minute of the first half, the final minute of normal time that is, Shauna Howley converts her 2nd free of the game. That's Mayo's first score for 10 minutes, by the way. And it's now 6 points to 3 here in Dungarvan. But Waterford doing an excellent job of protecting the goal and of keeping Mayo at arm's length, Michelle. In fact, they've frustrated them time after time.
They have, but if Mayo, really need to, I think, be a bit more ruthless going forward and maybe draw those fouls.
Here's Lisa Cafferty trying to be ruthless, and she is. Brilliant score from Lisa Cafferty. She has been one of the shining lights in Mayo's first 2 games when things have been going against them, and that quick-fire double, 2 in a row, makes it 6-4.
And I mentioned her before, she is known for, I suppose, her pace in and around that half forward line and that full forward line. She was in space that time, saw that the score was on, and she knows herself, I suppose, it's important to reduce that gap. They haven't had good first half performances against Kerry and Cork today, so they wouldn't have been happy with that. So, and again, Waterford have been dominant in this first half as well, but if they can reduce that scoreline, they know and they believe that they can come back really strong in the second half, because that's what they've done over the last 2 rounds. So I've no doubt Waterford will be expecting that from them, and Mayo themselves hoping to reduce the gap so that they go in and recuperate and, I suppose, talk again at half time to bring out what they've brought out in the last 2 rounds.
Rachel Kearns drives it in long. Great catch by Sinead Welch to Fiona McHale. McHale looking to use all of her experience. Back to Shauna Howley. Good build up by Mayo, but the finish just off target. Frustrating for them, frustrating for Michael Moyles in front of us. That was oh so close to being 3 in a row.
It was, and you would say it was in a good position as well for a left-footed kicker. Not too much of a breeze. The breezes, while slightly with Waterford, it's minimal if I'm honest. So disappointing that she couldn't convert that time.
So a stoppage here, an injury to one of the Waterford players over on the far side. It's number 11 who's down injured. That's Breeze McMaw. That's the reason for the hold-up. Evelyn O'Brien is waiting patiently to take the kick out. We're 2 minutes into additional time at the end of this first half here at Dungarvan GA grounds in Waterford, and the home side leading by 2 points, 4 in front just a few minutes ago, as Clodagh McManaman spills the kick out right into the arms of the waiting Ava Waring, and all of a sudden Waterford are on the front foot. Cara McCarthy pops it inside to the support runner. That's Lauren McGregor making a beeline for goal. McGregor! What a goal from Lauren McGregor. Well, she's been dangerous all through this first half, and that time when she got her chance, she pounced for her 3rd goal in 3 games of this Lidl Ladies National League.
What more can you ask from a full forward? To be honest, Mike, that was absolutely brilliant by Lauren, and fair play to Waterford for responding for those 2 points from Shauna Howley and Lisa Cafferty. Ava Waring did very well to get onto that breakdown in midfield by Clodagh McManaman, and opened her eyes, could see ahead that Cara McCarthy was free on the wing, popped a lovely ball into her path, quick pass inside to Lauren, who had a little bit of work to do, to be fair, and Mayo were getting back there in numbers, but Lauren has a very tidy solo in around the edges. Excellent shot. She can shoot off her right and her left. It was her left foot that time, and an excellent response and an important score for Waterford going in at half time.
Well, the referee Kevin Phelan has blown the half-time whistle, and psychologically what a boost for Waterford, what a blow for Mayo. 6-4, delicately poised coming into half-time. Mayo had cut the gap in half with 2 quick-fire points, and then Waterford put together the move of the match. Waring to McCarthy, McCarthy to McGregor, and as Michelle said, she had some work to do, beat the defender so impressively, and the finish was slide rule under the body of the diving Laura Brennan and into the bottom corner. Goals against Kerry, Cork, and now Mayo for Lauren McGregor from Dungarvan, and it means Waterford lead here at half-time by 1-6 to 4 points. Michelle, just briefly maybe your overall impressions of the first half?
I suppose I'd be much happier in the Waterford camp going in here at half time, not only to get that goal just before the half, but they have had a huge amount of possession. They've coped well with any threat that Mayo have, I suppose, posed to them. They've moved that ball and worked it well up the field. Scores coming from a few players as well, and they're creating free opportunities, frees up there for Kellyanne to take as well. I would be a little concerned though if Mayo click getting that ball going forward in a quick and accurate fashion, that there is spaces inside in that full forward line, and Waterford need to marshal that a little bit better. I think there's no doubt that they will expect Mayo to come at them all guns blazing here now the second half, because they've done that in the last 2 games. Mayo, on the other hand, I think they will be happy enough with maybe how they were doing in that last, we'll say 6-7 minutes. Will be very unhappy to concede that goal, however, but I just don't think they're producing enough enough with regards to the possession that they have. I think they're not clicking accurately with the passes up front, maybe running into too much bodies in that Waterford defence and not getting the likes of Lisa Cafferty off the shoulder, Shauna Howley off the shoulder to take those points on the loop. But look, it's all poised for an excellent second half here now here in Dungarvan GAA. I mean, there's only there's 5 points between the team, but we know very well of the games we've seen that anything can really happen in these two teams have had excellent performances the second halves to date.
Well, my thanks to Michelle Ryan for her analysis during the course of the first half. We'll be back very shortly with full second half commentary, but for the moment we'll take a break from Dungarvan. At half time in the Lidl Ladies National League, it's Waterford who lead Mayo by 1-6 to 4 points.
We were told the game was over before we'd even started. We were told our bodies weren't made for it. It wasn't our time to play. We played anyway. And together we played like there was no tomorrow. And they told us that was fine. You can play. You're good enough. And thought that was good enough for us. It wasn't. We are relentless. The game isn't over until we say it's over. Until we get everything we've given everything for. Until we level the playing field.
Lidl, proud supporters of ladies Gaelic football.
So you're very welcome back to Dungarvan GA grounds. Second half about to get underway here. Just looking around the field, looks like Mayo have made a couple of changes at half time. Number 22, no, in fact number 5, Lucy Wallace, has been taken out, and also it looks like Rachel Kearns is not going to reappear for the second half. In fact, it's Lucy Wallace who's come on for Ciara Needham, and it is Saoirse Delaney who's on for Rachel Kearns. No major surprise, Michelle, to see Mayo make a couple of changes.
No, I think they recognise that there were some changes needed and wouldn't be overall happy with their performance in that first half, and Michael Miles reshuffling the decks a little bit. Inspiration for Mayo here now in the second half.
So yeah, number 5 Lucy Wallace from Burrishoole, and number 24 Saoirse Delaney from Ahamore. They're the two Mayo players who have come in. Mayo trying to start this second half now with real intent. They're attacking the goal away to our left hand side, chasing down a 5-point deficit. Waterford in the driving seat. That Lauren McGregor goal 2 minutes into first half stoppage time, it really has put Waterford in a commanding position as Lisa Cafferty kicks for a spectacular score and gets it. Well, that's the perfect start to the second half from a Mayo point of view. That's Lisa Cafferty's second point and the pick of the bunch.
Definitely an inspirational score to start off this second half by Lisa Cafferty, well out here into the corner around the 13-yard line. It looked like from here, wouldn't say that most people would take that shot on, but an inspirational score, an important score to start off Mayo's second half here.
So that makes it 1-6 to 5 points. And here they come again. And to be precise, here comes Lisa Cafferty again, looking for 2 in a minute. And she has struck that one beautifully as well. Well, she's back from injury and she's back in the groove. That's 3 points, all from play from the corner forward. Excellent
leadership shown by her, and within 2 minutes now they've really clawed back what was a 5-point lead now back to a 1-score lead here for Waterford. So Waterford needs to be mindful of this. We've mentioned already, and it's been seen in previous games, Mayo do come out in the second half, bring a little bit more power to their play, a little bit more cohesion to their play, and a little bit more danger up front, and Waterford need to withstand this, be sensible here now on the ball, in possession, and work hard with it and move up the field and make sure that there's no gaps in there behind to allow the likes of Lisa Cafferty to create more of those chances.
Well, Saoirse Delaney has just won a free, just stood her ground there as the Waterford player Anya O'Neill tried to come out with possession. There is that charging rule again. We see it game on game. It has quite a few people scratching their heads at times. There Mayo got the benefit of the doubt, but as they try to construct an attack, one over cooked hand pass, it breaks down and Waterford will break from the back. This is Kellyanne Hogan, 4 points from frees she struck in the first half. Out as far as Breege McMaw, approaching the halfway line, takes a bounce just to buy herself some time, bounces off Fiona McHale as well in the process and carries the ball on, chased by Sullivan and Sinead Cafferty, neither of them able to catch her though, and Waterford are within shooting distance of the Mayo goal. Annie Fitzgerald has to go back outside for support. Eve Power thought about trying to break the line, instead goes back to Kellyanne Hogan. Now she kicks over the cover, picks out the intended target with the pass as well. Recycled back as far as Ava Waring, who drops it in dangerously, and it's flicked in by Lauren McGregor, who beat Laura Brennan to the punch. And Waterford and Lauren McGregor have their second goal.
Excellent finish there by Lauren. Her positioning was very good on the edge of the square. Waterford creating that chance. Shot there from Ava Waring, just dropping short. I don't think it was her intention to drop it into the square that time. I genuinely think she was going for a score. But great cuteness and match intelligence there by Lauren to stay on the edge of the square, and had to outreach Laura Brennan, who was quite a tall keeper inside there, and also one of the Mayo defenders. Great contact to put that into the back of the net, and another excellent response for Waterford after another 2 points there on the board from Mayo.
Well, we mentioned earlier about Mayo's difficulties in terms of scoring themselves, scoring goals in particular. It's been a different story at the other end. Conceded 3 against Kerry in round 2, and that's 2 already here in Dungarvan. They have certainly got issues in terms of keeping goals out and scoring them. last year's beaten league and All-Ireland semi-finalists, but Lisa Cafferty single-handedly is trying to keep them in this game, and she's just kicked another spectacular score. And whatever about her teammates, Lisa is doing everything she can to keep Mayo in the game.
She absolutely is, and full credit to her for that. She's scoring in both corners of the pitch there, and Waterford need to marshal that. I know it's Aoife Murray that's on her at the moment and has been on her and has done a relatively good job, but Waterford need to make sure that they're back there in numbers to allow Aoife to, I suppose, dive into that tackle and get that little bit closer to her, because Lisa's gotten on some quick, easy possession up there in those forwards for the last few minutes.
She's now kicked 3 points from play in 4 minutes, the Mayo corner forward. She is red hot, and you'd imagine the game plan will be get the ball to Lisa Cafferty. Down at the other end, it's been all about Lauren McGregor. 2 goals so far for the full forward from Dungarvan. Waterford lead here by 2-6 to 7 points as they get the ball into the hands of Breeze McMaw, shoots on sight, and that flies away to the left and wide. It stays a 5-point game.
It does, and I think she'll be disappointed with that, and I know her own cousin Kellyanne Hogan won't be happy with that either, because she'd given her a little pop pass, had made the run to go again and was looking for a return there as she was lining up straight in front of goal that time.
Mayo unable to get their kick out to the target, broke down in the middle of the field, won by Waterford, and Annie Fitzgerald is trying to wriggle her way through, taken down and fouled by Roisin Flynn. This will be a Waterford free, and you'd imagine this will be time for Kellyanne Hogan to take control of the situation. The flags that were fluttering gently in the first half are now just lying limply all around the field, so that slight breeze would seem to have died away. So it's honours even in that regard, as Kellyanne Hogan goes backwards to try and maybe give herself a slightly better angle. Plays a 1-2 with her teammate there, Hannah Power, back as far as Ava Waring. Now Breeze McMaw on the edge of the D. Anya O'Neill just trying to invite in a defender or two. They drill it in towards McGregor on the edge of the square. Danielle Caldwell, the sweeper, across to gather the break. No way out though. Bottled up, has to use the goalkeeper. And Ailish Ronayne out as far as Clodagh McManaman, and now Lucy Wallace. The two Burrashule players combine, and a third. This is Maria Cannon driving down along the left wing to Saoirse Delaney. Very quick player, the Mayo substitute, looking for Lisa Cafferty in the corner. Cafferty scanning around the forward line, looking for options, looking to pick out the incoming Shauna Howley, but that avenue was closed off very quickly by Hannah Power, and Mayo here have been caught up the field and they're wide open at the back if Waterford can move that ball quickly. That was a crucial tackle there by Clodagh McManaman just to slow up the attacker, and it takes the sting out of the Waterford attack.
Does very experienced defending there, allowing her team a chance to reset and face up against Waterford rather than chasing them back.
Waterford though have another go. Kellyanne Hogan is coming steaming through the middle, evades the challenge of Danielle Caldwell. She's got Emma Power off her shoulder, gives it inside to Breeze McMaw. 3-4 defenders around her, free out for overcarrying. Well, Kevin Phelan, the referee, that decision did not go down well with the locals, as you can hear. Mayo get the free, and 9 times out of 10 I would venture, Michelle, it goes the other way.
Tough decision there, if you ask me, to be honest. I don't see what Breach could have done. I thought they weren't standing off her, if you know what I mean. The hands were in around the ball, the hands were in around her, so a little bit harsh in my mind, but look, referee's call is it, and Mayo have possession but have copped it up here now again. Ball given away cheaply, won back by Emma Murray. The Comora Rangers centre back has had a big influence on this game, so is Kellyanne Hogan. The Waterford midfielder shot comes back off the post, looked destined to go over. Karen McGrath tries to keep it alive. That's really good handling by Hannah Power, who's taken down, fouled, and Waterford, well, in fact it's a free out, and that's that charging rule, I think, again, Michelle, where you're expecting the free to go one way and then it goes the other. It's something that's been, you're right, it's something that's been talked about a lot in our game over the last while, and I suppose it is something that's hard to define, let alone police, but I suppose it's clear when people are making that advances forward illegally with regards to charging with a shoulder, and I think it's going to continue to be a talking point for a while.
Lauren McGregor, she's on a hat trick, she's in around the back, She leaves with a point. Laura Brennan made herself big, blocked down the angle. McGregor hunting a hat-trick. Now up to 2 goals and 2 points, the Waterford full forward.
And I think, Mike, that score there was actually crucial for Waterford, because they'd been in and around the Mayo full back line a number of times, weren't getting the return. Chances were there, runs were off the shoulder, passes maybe not as slick, or scores not being taken in the split second that they had. So it was important to convert a score, considering the amount of possession they had inside the Mayo 21-yard line there over the last 2 or 3 minutes.
A stoppage here. That looks like Roisin Flynn, the Mayo fullback from Knockmore, who's down and needs attention. That score from Lauren McGregor has pushed Waterford 2 goals clear. McGregor's own 2 goals, in fact, may not be a household name just yet, Michelle, but if she keeps scoring goals the way she has been the last few weeks, she will be a household name very soon.
It might not be a household name, but I suppose she would be well known here in Waterford. She's actually been on the Waterford adult panel with a number of years, way back even when we were back in the Intermediate Championship 2014, 2015. Is quite an accomplished club player as well, and has always shown incredible, I suppose, accuracy and danger in and around the goals, and it's great to see her establishing herself as a leader among the forwards this year.
Also has a great surname for a headline, and I'd imagine if she keeps going the way she is, she'll be making plenty of headlines in the weeks to come and months to come if Waterford can get on a run in the championship. Right now they're defending Clodagh McManaman and Mayo. This is Saoirse Delaney up on her toes, looking very sharp. Loose ball runs free, touched on the ground, free out. Played on the ground there by a Mayo hand. That's the way Kevin Phelan saw it, and it's been that sort of a day for Mayo. A frustrating afternoon so far.
There are a lot of errors in possession, errors in handling, maybe bad decisions being made, or not taking off the pass or taking off the shot when the space is there, maybe between 2 minds. So the slickness of thought isn't there yet with Mayo, and in credit to Waterford, they're forcing those errors, they're forcing them to make up that mind and make those mistakes.
Well, Waterford's power runners, among them Hannah Power, they are causing huge problems for the Mayo defence. Once they break the tackle, their athleticism and their conditioning is very, very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. It's something that I really stood out against Cork. Really bring it into this game here today. They're getting back in numbers, they're moving forward in numbers, and it's not just a lateral style of play. It really is those hard runs up the middle, those trying to break through those gaps, and that takes its toll physically on you when you have that level of tackle, that level of pressure on you, to still have that energy up and down the field. We're in the 12th minute here now of the second half, so there's still a long period of this game to go, but Waterford have been coping very, very well with that movement and that fitness up and down the field.
So a chance here for Waterford to push that lead out, and they do. Kellyanne Hogan with the free. They've also snuck on a substitute very quietly down at the other end. Kate McGrath has just come on for Cora Murray. You'd want a spotter or a pair of binoculars at times, but yeah, that change being made by Pat Sullivan. And it's now 2-8 to 7 points after that Kellyanne Hogan point. She's now up to 5 points, all from frees. The Waterford free taker, as Lisa Cafferty goes on the attack at the other end, and normal service resumed. That is now 4 second half points for Lisa Cafferty.
And that's serious play by Lisa Cafferty. As we've mentioned before, she really is keeping Mayo in this game, showing incredible leadership, but great vision there from Mayo. I think it was Saoirse Delaney that time who was on that ball and spotted Lisa on the far side of the goal, the far side of the D, and crossed that ball over to her. She knows that Lisa is on form, so a great pass, great vision there, and another good score by Lisa.
So it's now 2-8 to 8 points. Those 2 goals separating the teams in the 13th minute of the second half. Waterford on the front foot. They're looking to release Emma Murray. Pass was played by the fullback, Megan Dunford. And the referee is having a word with Fiona McHale, who I think, again, she dug into that box of experience and did what she had to do, Michelle.
She did, certainly, and the referee spotted it. Emma was trying to escape for her up through the middle there, get a run on her. Fiona was, I suppose, off the ball, kept pulling her back, sees the threat that Emma Murray is, and like you said, that experience slowing down that play and maybe getting it ticking for that for herself. But look, Waterford still in possession here in a dangerous side of the pitch as Mayo try to introduce another sub here to get things going again. At the end of the day, it's 2 scores between the team. While it is 6 points, 2 goals, it is 2 scores between the team, and so Mayo happy to make those changes to see if they can get things clicking up there up front to aid the likes of Lisa Cafferty in their attack.
It's actually Fiona McHale Mayo are taking out at this stage, just perhaps starting to tire. Also was appearing on maybe the referee's radar a little bit too much, and it's Hannah Reap from Knockmore who's come in. One of the Reap twins is on. 14 minutes into the second half. Michael Moyles just trying to freshen things up. Mayo not without hope here. They're 2 kicks of the ball behind. Those 2 Lauren McGregor goals have done the damage, but their misfiring attack, with the exception, the notable exception of Lisa Cafferty, just has to try and get going sooner rather than later. It hasn't been happening for her teammates up there. And of course, Rachel Kearns taken off at half time as well. Free against Waterford. A lot of confused faces around me in the stand. Not quite sure why that went against them. Mayo, well, they're happy to take the free, and Danielle Caldwell tries to spot a gap and does, and accelerates through it. She has Maria Cannon to her left, so too Sinead Walsh. Forward and up the line she goes to Lucy Wallace. Back as far as Sinead Walsh again. This is better for Mayo. They're all on the same page. Walsh to Cafferty, back to Walsh, and Sinead Walsh swings over a fine score.
That was great supporting play there by Mayo on the ball, always an option. Sinead Walsh able to work her way into that scoring position in around the 21 centre of the D. So another good score there by Mayo to claw back Waterford's leads now, which now is at 5 points.
Well, we've just hit the 3-quarter mark. Waterford's lead stands at 5 points, but the next 15 minutes are going to be fascinating, Michelle, because Waterford have been here before.
Exactly, you're dead right, and there's only halfway through the second half yet, Mike. No doubt there's a lot more football here to be played, and Mayo will have a lot to say about what happens here and won't be happy to just rest on their laurels. But it's important for Waterford to learn lessons from the last 2 days and to drive on. They have been in control of this game. They were in control of the games previously, and to drive on and make sure they're economical in possession and fruitful with their possession that they have.
So 2-8 plays 9 points. Mayo's attack down at the other end has petered out again, broke down again, and Breege, McMaw and Waterford are driving towards the Mayo goal, looking for the scores that would see them home in front, that would see them pick up their first win of this Lidl Ladies National League campaign. That's a nice popped hand pass by Emma Murray to Ava Waring, back as far as Karen McGrath, the Waterford captain. She went high around the defender and she's won her free.
And Karen had it all to do there, I suppose. 2 Mayo players coming in. She saw a slight gap, went for it. 2 Mayo players coming in too hard there and illegally stopping her high and providing Kellyanne with another opportunity here to widen that gap back out to 2 goals.
So Karen McGrath wins the free. The Ballymacarbery woman creating the chance for her clubmate Kellyanne Hogan, and that is the first free Kellyanne Hogan has missed in this game, and it's one that you'd have chalked down before she kicked it, Michelle.
You would imagine so, but unfortunately sliced off the outside of her boot that time, and that's the joy of being the free taker as well. But Kellyanne just needs to dust that one off now. She's had an excellent game from frees so far today, and it's also the last day as well. So no doubt there'll be more that she'll be called upon, and up to Waterford themselves to create more of those chances for her.
Waterford have just brought in number 17, that's Catherine Hines, to replace Breege McMaw, as Pat Sullivan just introduces some fresh legs around the middle as Waterford try to see this game out. Could have gone and should have gone 6 points up. It's a 5-point game. Clodagh McManaman in towards Sinead Welsh, back to Shauna Howley onto her favourite left foot, and that's another score for Mayo, and it's a first score from play for Shauna Howley, the All-Star.
another good score there, and that's what Mayo are being forced to do, I suppose, is take those hook kicks to avoid the blanket defence in front of them. But interestingly enough, Lisa Cafferty had been actually a little bit isolated inside, and the Waterford full back line there was shouting for that ball, a little pop pass inside, and the Waterford defence hadn't seen her, and there could have been a goal chance. But I suppose at least for Mayo, they've tacked on that point to reduce the score now to 4 points between the teams.
Double substitution being made by Mayo here. They're bringing in number 19 Ella Brennan and number 15 Tara Needham, and they're taking out Sinead Welch, who's I think given all she can, and the other player who's coming out is Catherine Sullivan. So Ella Brennan and this player Tara Needham into the Mayo team. Again, I think the effort just taking its toll on Catherine Sullivan and Sinead Welch, both of them nursing injuries recently. Here's Shauna Howley. She's got space and time, but she's unable to hit the target. And coming in from that angle off that wing, again, it looked a dead cert.
Waterford sigh of relief there, because that came from, I suppose, a poor kick out option out around the middle where there was a huge number of players and not many Waterford players being isolated or being targeted there with that kick out, and it handed the possession straight back to Mayo. So Waterford need to keep cool heads here, sensible on the ball, sensible in these dead ball scenarios. Mayo seem to be very much playing a space there with regards to Waterford kickouts, covering that space, forcing Evelyn into making decisions as she ploughed out the middle where all the numbers are. But Waterford and Mayo, which still consists of a 50-50 ball, are trying to hit those patches out on the wing, out near the touchline. The interesting thing though is all the Waterford players are gathered in that centre. If they stay in there, she's forced to kick it in there, to be honest, and it didn't work out for her. And this time it's Waterford need a little bit more movement for her, a bit more options for her this time.
Well, you just know, you can sense it's going to be a dramatic last 10 minutes, because Waterford could have been and should have been 6 points up. Missed the free from Kellyanne Hogan. Mayo came right back down the field and reduced the gap to 4. So it's beautifully poised heading into the last 10 minutes here in Dungarvan. Two teams in search of their first win of this league campaign. Waterford getting ready to make the trip to Donegal in round 4, and how they would love to be making that trip with a win under their belts. Their only 2 wins last year, both in relegation playoffs. So psychologically, Michelle, this would be absolutely massive for many reasons, this Waterford win.
It really would, and when you were asking me what they were targeting this year, it is to be absolutely avoiding those kind of relegation battles, to be competitive in Division 1 and in the Championship. And we've seen the performances, they are competitive, they're very competitive here now again today, but you need to bring that level of experience and keeping the cool head to be able to see out and get those results, because at the end of the day it's the results that matter.
That was an important touch by Lisa Cafferty to direct the ball to Ella Brennan. Here is Lisa Cafferty again. Mayo, can they manufacture 4 points to get level? Can they come up with their first goal of this league campaign to get right back into contention? They are the sort of questions that will be answered over the next 9 or 10 minutes as Hannah Reap gets on the ball, gives it outside to Shauna Howley, her clubmate from Knockmore. This is Tara Needham from Lewisburg out there on the field with a couple of her clubmates, and she's just overcarried that, and she puts her hands on her head because she knows she made the wrong decision.
That's it, and good, I suppose, patient tackling there from Waterford. Again, they're in their numbers, again forcing that error, breaking up the pitch now here quickly. Hopefully the numbers are getting up there to support Anya O'Neill in her drive forward there. And you know, the atmosphere is good here in Dungarvan. The crowd are really getting behind the Waterford team, and it's great that it is in this Dungarvan venue. Allows more spectators to be here as well. We had the under-12s of St. Pat's beside and Ardmore here at half time, and they're here and they're cheering on the Waterford girls, so hoping that they can get this victory here today against Mayo.
I'm sure everyone involved with Waterford ladies football delighted to be back on home ground again today. And as Michelle said, a good crowd out to watch them in action against Mayo, last year's beaten All-Ireland semi-finalists. But right now, it looks like it's going to be Waterford's day, because Mayo are struggling to make headway against that defence as Pat Sullivan makes another change. The player who's been taken out is Cara McCarthy, kicked an eye-catching first half point. and she has been replaced by number 15, Sheena McGuckian, who was named to start but now gets her chance, Michelle.
She does, and she's going to come in lively as well and eager, I suppose, to contribute to this Waterford team. She didn't start last week. She had started originally against Kerry, so she'll be eager, I suppose, to get herself back in the starting lineup for Waterford.
Ball goes in low towards Lisa Cafferty. Out to Shauna Howley. Coming at pace on the far side is Danielle Caldwell. Drops the shoulder, swings a boot at it, but that was struck more in hope than confidence, I think, by Danielle Caldwell, and it flies out to the right and wide. The wide are starting to mount up for Mayo. They're bringing in another substitute. Erin Murray from Ballyhonus is coming in, and it's Maria Cannon who is being replaced. That's now 4 changes Mayo have made in this second half. Evelyn O'Brien, the goalkeeper from Clashmore Kinsale Beg, good kick out to the right wing, where she found the corner back Kate McGrath into the centre to Hannah Power. In fact, it just got a bit too tight there for Waterford, but they get the free. Mayo trying to press up on the ball carrier, but overstepped the mark, and Waterford have a chance to hold possession, eat into the clock, and in the 25th minute work their way out of their own half through Megan Dunford. Mayo players funneling back at pace, but that's a nice little popped hand pass by Karen McGrath to Emma Murray. Murray, advantage being played, or maybe the referee is just shielding the sun from his eyes. Either way, Waterford continue on their merry way down towards the Mayo goal. Pass played there by Catherine Hines just to keep the move going. Ball pumped in dangerously. Out comes Laura Brennan. Had it, lost it. It's Lauren McGregor who's quickest to react. McGregor goes low. And Laura Brennan in the right place at the right time for Mayo. Just got right behind that shot. Lauren McGregor determined to have a go for the hat-trick, Michelle.
Absolutely, and she saw the chance there. A lot of Waterford players forcing the error there by Laura Brennan's spilling of that ball. Unfortunately, able to not to get anything from it. Mayo kept their heads back there, Laura Brennan especially coming out, and they'll be breathing a sigh of relief that didn't result in a score for Waterford, although Waterford do have the ball here now on the attack again.
That was a rushed clearance by Danielle Caldwell out over the sideline. Gives possession back to Waterford and allows them to keep the pressure on. Hannah Power, really good run to Catherine Hines. She's been lively since she came in off the bench. Back to Hannah Power again. Waterford looking to hold possession, work a shooting chance. Ambitious pass though played across the Mayo goal, cut out by Lisa Cafferty's sister Sinead Cafferty, who was just sitting back in there protecting the defence. Lisa is down at the other end waiting for the ball to arrive. Shauna Howley plays it across to Erin Murray out on the right wing. She's a long way right now from the Waterford goal, but cuts in to try and make an angle for herself, but ran down a blind alley. 3 Waterford defenders waiting for her. Possession surrendered fairly cheaply as Waterford try and come out again through midfielder Kellyanne Hogan, just starting to flag a little, maybe starting to tire a little, and that ball is fly kicked out over the far sideline. 3.5 minutes of normal time to go. The question is, can Waterford hold out? Can Mayo get back into it? Line ball taken inside towards Sinead Cafferty. Kellyanne Hogan trying to stand her up. Sinead Cafferty advances. She's into the scoring zone, and that is a terrific point from Sinead Cafferty. Her sister Lisa has filled her boots with 5 points from play. That's Sinead's first.
An important score there for Mayo, and they'll be happy with that. They're slowly clawing back Waterford's leads. The last 4 scores have come from Mayo, and worryingly from a Waterford perspective, they haven't scored since the 12th minute point by Kellyanne, and they're in desperate need, I suppose, of a score just to settle themselves back down, because as we said, Mayo clawing themselves back. Waterford still with a huge amount of possession, it has to be said, and moving forward up the pitch very, very comfortably, but just not creating the same amount of scoring opportunities that they've been previously creating. And again, and we've mentioned it before, the real thing, and 2 things I wrote down here at half time, Mike, with regards to Waterford: resilience and cuteness. Now, over the last 2 games, we know that they would have been disappointed with how they saw out the last few minutes of both those games. We're now in the 28th minute of this game. They do have that lead. Do they have that resilience and cuteness now to build on that and not let Mayo back into this game?
Well, the goalkeeper, Evelyn O'Brien, needed to be cute there to wrangle her way out of that situation, but Waterford have given away a free. They've overcarried the ball on the way out. I think it was Emma Murray who was bottled up, and this is what Michelle was talking about, this game management that has just been lacking in Waterford the last couple of matches. Will it cost them again today? They haven't scored since the 11th minute of the second half. Mayo, through Shauna Howley, have just scored their 5th point in a row. The comeback is on. It's back to a 2-point game. And all of a sudden, the last 90 seconds have become a whole lot more interesting.
It is, and you can even sense in Mayo now themselves that there's a little bit of energy about them. They feel this game is within their grasp. Those subs that have come on and provided a little bit of extra impetus and energy. Waterford conceding another free, getting possession inside the 13 there from that kick out, handing another opportunity for Mayo, handing possession back to them.
Well, it's remarkable really the way history is starting to repeat itself. Remember, Waterford denied a win in the opening round by a late Danielle O'Leary point from Kerry. Then they were denied a win last weekend by a late equaliser from Cork, from Katie Quirk, and Shauna Howley has just steered that free over the bar to leave us with a 1-point game here in the 59th minute in Dungarvan. It's 2-8 to 13 points. Mayo have hit 6 in a row.
What incredible leadership from Mayo, an incredible fight and comeback in the second half. We mentioned that we were capable of doing it. We've seen it in their previous games, and they've managed to do a claw back to a 1-point game here now in Dungarvan. Possession is absolutely vital for both of these sides. The atmosphere is up. The tension can be felt on both sides here now.
Waterford, who just have been struggling to get out of their own half off their own kick out in the last 5 or 6 minutes. This time they do manage to secure possession. They do manage to win a free. Now, can they make their way down the field? I see number 20, Orla Kennedy, is on for these last few dramatic moments for Waterford. Can she help her teammates to see this game out? One more score, you'd imagine, should do it for them, as Anya O'Reilly gives it inside to Catherine Hines, trying to drive towards the Mayo crossbar. Mayo have as many bodies as they can afford back around their own goal. Waterford have managed to create a free. They've managed to create a late chance, and if they can convert it, it just might see them home. But the crucial part of that move, Michelle, was getting the kick out away and secured, and after a few false starts they managed it.
You're dead right, Micah. They were really being put under pressure with that kick out. Mayo really were lively back there, and any bit of spilt ball, any bit of a 50-50 ball, they were really going for it. So the Waterford kept their composure through the likes of Cara McGrath and Emma Murray coming up that middle, likes of Megan Dunford as well, and now have their own scoring opportunity here.
So all eyes are on Kelly Ann Hogan. Waterford, who haven't scored since the 11th minute of this second half, and they've scored when it matters most. 20 minutes without a score. That run brought to an end by Kellyanne Hogan, and will that be enough to see Waterford home in front? It is. There goes the full-time whistle. It is another bitter, disappointing result for Mayo. It is sheer joy and ecstasy for Waterford. They've won for the first time in this Lidl Ladies National League campaign, but again they made their supporters sweat, they made them wait, and in the end it's Kellyanne Hogan's late free that sees them home in front, 2-9 to 13 points. And I think that sound we can hear all around us, Michelle, is a massive sigh of relief from Waterford.
I think it's both relief, but I genuinely think there is huge joy and satisfaction over. You can see Pat Sullivan walking around to his players there, pumping the fist. They could see and sense that this was coming, and it is no more than they deserve, to be honest. They were bitterly disappointed not to have lost against Kerry. Also very disappointed last week with the draw. And you can see, and I mentioned this last week, the marginal gains that they have gotten now over these 3 rounds is huge. They've seen that progress, the lessons that we hope that they hoped that they would learn from the first game they brought to the second game, and from that game into this game. They saw out the game, and that's the key thing. They went for a large period of that second half. I think it was 18 minutes almost without scoring, and then when the score presented itself to confirm that gap and to make sure that they finished up as winners, they took that. And this could be a very vital win for Waterford, because it's a very competitive group. You now have Mayo and Donegal, bottom of the group, still waiting on points, still waiting on results. house. Waterford now go to Donegal in the next round, in round 4. Mayo will be disappointed. They've had their 3 games now, no win so far. And both of these teams, you have to remember, still have to come up against the likes of Dublin and Meath in the latter stages of this. So any group points that they can gain, whether it's a draw or whether it's a victory, are going to prove vital to, first of all, staying in Division 1.
What are the most pleasing things, Michelle, from a Waterford perspective? Maybe if we were to talk about individual performances.
I think, I suppose coming into this game, there was a lot of talk maybe about how they weren't seeing out those games. There was maybe a little bit of talk that there were, 1 or 2 players that were a bit more reliant when it came to attacking, the likes of Emma Murray and the likes of Kellyanne Hogan. But I have to say, there was really a team performance here today. There was a lot of leadership out there. Emma Murray still had an excellent and very, I suppose, powerful game, but was ably supported around her. Maybe was not as visual as she had been in other games, but I think that's because all the other players around her really stepped up to the mark. And you have to full credit the likes of Lauren McGregor, who really is, I suppose, proving herself to be a very dangerous asset and in around that goal mouth. And I think they're going to be very happy with their style of play, and they can see that they can take the game to these top teams, and it's full credit to them for that. Regards to Mayo, you mentioned yourself, these Mayo have been in the top 3-4 teams in both the league and the championship the last number of years. I suppose a lot of people were questioning them the year before because they had lost so many people to the AFLW. They performed absolutely incredibly well the last 2 years, All-Ireland semi-finalists last year, and it looks like they're just struggling to get their year underway so far, and won't be happy that they're coming, I suppose, in fits and starts in games. And it has to be said, if it wasn't really for the likes of Lisa Cafferty there in that second half, who really provided them with huge inspiration and drove them forward and make sure that they clawed their way back to within a point of Waterford. And I think they're going to be expecting a lot more from more than her on the bench and more than her around the pitch in the matches going forward. Just
to wrap up, we'll get your selection for player of the match in just a moment. Just to update you on the round 4 fixtures for these two teams, it's a break now of a couple of weeks before they reappear again. Waterford will go to Donegal for round 4. Mayo, will they face the daunting task of a trip to Meath to face the All-Ireland champions in 2 weeks' time. But plenty of contenders for the player of the match. I would imagine the vast majority wearing Waterford jerseys, Michelle, but who's your choice?
There are plenty of contenders, to be honest. As a unit, I think they defended very, very well, and going forward there were plenty of threats. But I think, to be fair, Lauren McGregor, when she was called on and needed upon to be there to take those all-important scores, she really was there. Not only that, she was getting back around the half-forward line, putting the pressure on, filtering back as well, and as I said, just taking those all-important scores. There would have been times in the last number of years Waterford weren't, I suppose, getting those goals in front when they presented them to themselves, and were conceding a lot of goals also, and they seem to have rectified a lot of that goal conceding in the backs. But not only that, they're proving to be dangerous up front, and that really came in the form of Lauren McGregor here today.
So Lauren McGregor is Michelle Ryan's selection for player of the match. My thanks to Michelle for her company and analysis all afternoon. That's it from us here in Dungarvan GA grounds. The third round of the Lidl Ladies National League has seen Waterford come out on top here against Mayo. It finished after an exciting, dramatic game. Waterford 2-9, Mayo 13 points.
We were told the game was over before we'd even started. We were told our bodies weren't made for it. It wasn't our time to play. We played anyway. And together we played like there was no tomorrow. And they told us that was fine. You can play. You're good enough. And thought that was good enough for us. It wasn't. We are relentless. The game isn't over until we say it's over. Until we get everything we've given everything for. Until we level the playing field.
Lidl, proud supporters of ladies Gaelic football.